Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, and I'm back again. I have brought to you a message called In the Wilderness. I've indicated that I've been out in the wilderness for some 40 years, and I have a message that has been learned from this 40 years. But I must admit to you that even though my vintage there had been 40 years, I'm still in the learning process. For while I have known certain information, as I keep striving to learn, I find out that each day I'm able to get just a little bit more learning and understanding for that which I seek to cover up the ignorance that I have. And I claim before you that what I learn I share with you. Specifically, what I'm referring to today is that I am still in the wilderness. I have traveled this for so long alone. And if I have any support, if I have any guidance, it comes from a spirit that might be considered weird because it is unseen, untouched, and unfelt, but yet the evidence is so apparent. I am reflecting back on the times when I considered joining in certain organizations. And I mentioned that because I've been doing some research, and I find today that all of the research that I've done thus far indicate that these organizations that have been held in positions by blacks as high esteem, and it is connected to power that would engage and support them in the many struggles of life that they might have. I find that these organizations, many of them are called or referred to as the Bole. Organizations that have been set aside and sponsored by a white power structure designed to put them before black people and keep them at bay by leading them astray from that which gives them the power of life. I have learned through this education that some of our greatest leaders, who we have held as very important, have been connected to these organizations controlled by the Bole with a direct intent on keeping you from going to the place where you want to go. And that's the place of freedom, the place of prosperity in your lives. And while we have seen these representatives put before us who are experiencing that which we dream, we find that we very seldom acquire that same success. And the question becomes, perhaps from many of us, why not? You've heard it said that Dr. King was sponsored by the Jews. You heard it said that Jesse Jackson and others who we can recognize in this day and in these times were also sponsored in one way or another by organizations that's held up by the Bole. Whether this is true or not, I have no evidence aside from what I have heard and read. I'm not asking these men if they are, because it does not matter to me where they are or whether they are. I only can associate the reality of my own time. For at one time in my early life, I had a desire to become a member of the Kappa Alpha Phi fraternity, of which I am hearing today that they too are connected to the Bole. And my reason for not getting in that organization might be different from what I had thought it was. In the past, I thought there was a friend and myself were going to go that way, but earlier than my choice to get involved, he went and joined another organization, Kappa Alpha Omega Psi Phi. and that I had no interest in becoming Omega. The preeminent thought of the Omega is that they were party guys, and I didn't need an organization to help me party. And one time I thought the Kappa were men, and I professed to be a man. But having witnessed my friend going a different direction and watching the humiliation, the things that they had to do publicly to show their commitment and dedication to the organization, I decided that fraternal organization was not for me. I have witnessed these kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen, even when I thought about becoming a Mason, one of the Freemasons. I had considered, because my great-grandfather was a member of the organization, that it was one of the proudest organizations that I could get into, desire to be into. And yet I wanted to cleanse myself because I held the fraternal organization of Freemasons in high esteem. And at the time that I made a decision that I would like to be a part of that, I didn't consider myself clean enough. I didn't consider myself honest enough to be a part of that organization, only to have my friend, my same friend, come to me one day and said that he had become a part. He was joining, he was getting into the Masons. And hearing that information and knowing my friend like I know myself, if that organization could accept him, then there was no way I wanted to be a part of that organization, because that organization was not what I thought it was. And even then, ladies and gentlemen, having gone into the military and the Navy, they had one thing that it was important to them, that everybody, when they went across the equator, they had to go through an initiation process, one that I refused to do. To me, it was childish. When I went into the military, I was 29 years old, and I wasn't following the practices of children, even though the hierarchy within the organization accepted it as being a normal routine. But I refused to do it. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who see all of your athletes and everybody throwing up the signs, they call them devil horn signs, the 3 6s and all of the like, and they say these are just signs, but if you do your research on them, they have some association with Satanism. And here again, it is indicated that these individuals are paid a lot of money to be put before you as success stories, so that you can dream to want to be successful, and perhaps in these organizations, and because of these that have been put before you, you want to be like them. You want to be like Mike. You want to be like Magic. You want to be like those who have shined, not knowing that they might have had some particular motivation unknowing to you, perhaps even unknowing to themselves. They were put before you because of other reasons that we are blind to. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I would have to, nope, I think I'll make that call back later. That they were blind to. And so I sit here today, ladies and gentlemen, still in the wilderness. Still in the wilderness. When I went to the military, I didn't go to the military to kill. I went to the military to be killed, because I had taken a vow with a lady to be my wife, and we said before God and we said before our witnesses that we'd love each other, cherish each other, and we'd be together from that point until death do we part. That no sickness and no poverty, no anything would separate us. But having decided that I wanted to be different, that I wanted to do something about the poverty and the ugliness of our society, in order for me to do that, I could not be riding on the high and mighty, because I had never known anybody on the high and mighty doing anything for the poor. And when I made that decision, she made the decision that she no longer wanted to be with me. And at that time, it was very important to me that I let her know that I loved her. I had taken that vow. So I joined the military during the Iran hostage crisis, hoping that if there were a war, that I'd get killed and she can get that check, because the fact that I came out of that money-making dog-eat-dog world, maybe it was still important to her, and she could get the check as the price that I paid to give my life, to show my love. But it didn't happen that way. I ended up traveling around the world almost, seeing things I never would have seen as a benefit for my honesty. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I sit here today, I can say to you, I have been a member of no organization but the human race. Right now, you hear me talk about God every time I speak. But I let you know I'm a member of no church organization. I have not been drawn to do anything because I have not seen the church organization anywhere do anything to address the concerns of the poor. I have not seen a church organization or social organization or any people do anything that would address the concerns of the poor. And when I say poor, I'm not just talking about black poor. I'm talking about poor wherever they might be. I might be considered weird, I can't help that. But as a man, I see poverty in the black race. I see poverty in the white race. I see poverty in America. I see poverty all over the earth. And to me, it is the same poverty. And to have a desire and a commitment to fight for one is to have a commitment that must be available for all. Otherwise, it's nothing but hypocrisy. And so while I have spent all of these years, at least for the past 30 years, trying to see if I can get some kind of voice, trying to see if I can spread the news of love, I have been traveling alone. If you check my history for the past 30 years, you will see that I've traveled America. I've taken the message on the streets. I put it on radio. I put it in cable access. I sought political office at president, governor of the state of Minnesota, mayors of the city of Woodbury and St. Paul, and even the United States Senate from the state of Minnesota. And I have had no support in all of these years, and I've been saying the same things about peace and prosperity and happiness for everyone. Neither the church who say they love God have given me any support. I've been out here alone, and I understand now why I am alone. There was a message that was given to me by the Spirit, for which is with me, that said that I should tell the public that they're on the path to hell. It took me about 10 or 15 years before I got strong enough to start speaking that message out. Before then, they would allow me to speak in public places where they had authority. After then, I was curtailed, and that was withdrawn. That was withdrawn from me. And so I've utilized social media, and I've utilized the streets still. And I have stopped going to jail because it didn't help. And so today I still am trying to do whatever I can to address the problems of poverty, and to say that that is a curse. It is a sign that God is not present here in this community, is not present here in this state, is not present here in this nation, and is not present here in the world, because it's consistently being controlled by the anti-God. And I say that again because I know that people here and there believe within their hearts that they are led by the Spirit of God. They believe in their hearts that they love. They even want to do something for the pastor's wife after the pastor is dead. They want to do little things for the children to show that they have some compassion for them. But they're doing it in such a way, ladies and gentlemen, that it allows this boat to keep sailing down the abyss. It's not doing anything to turn it around. And those who have stood up to do something to turn it around have been shot down. And it seems as if everybody else decides and make that decision that they do not want to die, and rather than give their life for a cause of beauty, they just rather sail on down this ship even if Satan is driving it. And that, my friends, answers why I ask the people of the state of Minnesota to reconsider where they are going. I ask the people of the United States of America to reconsider where they're going, to make a choice that in their day, in their lifetime, they would like to see a change, a beautiful change, whereby their children will not be following down that same path, that same rabbit hole, that same abyss, because they stood up finally they stood up. They made the decision that no longer will they be making signs for the devil. No longer will they sell out their souls for big money, knowing that it is only a thing that is being used. If big money meant anything, why would the President of the United States stand up and call them SOBs? If big money meant anything, why do poverty and violence and cops killing blacks and whites, why would lone gunmen be taking weapons and going killing children? If money meant anything, if the nation as a whole meant anything, why do these things continue to happen? I submit, my friends, that it happens because of lack of love. It happens because people do not know God. And the reason that I'm out here alone is because I'm being led by the Spirit of God. And up until this point, I have been able to survive. Perhaps because nobody's been listening. I got nobody with money on my side. I got no Jew putting money behind me. I got no Bole putting money behind me. I got no rich athlete or entertainer putting money behind me. I got no successful organization putting money behind me. And even those that I stand to support don't have money, so I don't expect anything from them. And so I see myself as a voice in the wilderness still. But I do it because it's real. God loves me, and God loves you, and God is reaching out to you. So I'm asking you, consider. Don't turn your back on God always. If you do, you will go down to the pit of that rabbit hole. You will go all the way to wherever the ship that you're on is going. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, saying bye-bye.